what I saw tonight, right? They might like Southgate, and listen, there's nothing as a person. He seems like a lovely fella, right? He does.
You're tactically inept, mate.
No, but he seems like
he's tactically inept.
But I think
his mentality's all wrong.
I wonder whether the players genuinely now see through him.
Jace.
I feel. Sorry, let me have my
Go on.
I've seen performances like this under certain managers at Chelsea, and you can smell the coffee. You smell it. It stinks. You can see what's coming. I don't think they trust him. How can anyone of this level? We've got good players. After we scored the first goal, we watched, Jay. No one moved.
Didn't lay a glove, mate. Not a glove.
Denmark, sharper, quicker to the ball, inventive, runners off the ball, supporting one another. None of it. It was just...
Well, I think we're dealing with a manager who's quite happy to come out after his press conferences.
Like this,
first game, he said we need to conserve energy after going 1-0 up, and he was not happy with the fact that we were running around more than we should. And in the next game, he's come out and said we haven't got a replacement for Calvin Phillips.
How do you...
Calvin Phillips! Is he winding me up? Calvin Phillips! Has he come out and said that after a game?
No.
That we haven't got a replacement for Calvin Phillips?
Don't make me laugh. Come on.
Come on, mate.
No.
Come on. Seriously.
No,
is he having a laugh?
I couldn't believe it. I don't know what to say.
I remember the Qatar World Cup and the setup for that. And we played... Iran were a very poor side. They were a very poor side, and we beat them 6-2. We were awful against America in the second game. The better side in that game were the Americans by a country mile, and then we played a very, very poor Wales that didn't even turn up. So whilst I'm disappointed, and I'm not enamoured or enthused, and nothing is compelling about this England team at this moment in time. We've had this dance before. We've seen this before. The expectation levels have gone up because we're expecting so many great things from so many different players, but we're still at the same situation with 4 points. We haven't played well. We've gotten results that will get us out of the group. I'm pretty sure that we'll get the result we require against Slovenia. And then we can start to say, when it gets to the knockout side of things, do we have anything to be optimistic about, or are we really in a situation where we're going to flatter to deceive for the fourth tournament? The only thing that matters is when it comes up against an opposition that we don't think that we can beat, or on paper it's a 50-50, whether the lessons from the past have been learned, whether Southgate illustrates certain things, and so much criticism. And the interesting statistics, I was doing something yesterday somewhere else, one of the statistics came out, Gab, was that Southgate's made 375 substitutions during his tenure, of which 18 goals and 9 assists or something of that nature. 19 goals and 18 assists. So when he makes substitutions, less than 10% of them provide any positive outcome in the game. So it's an interesting set of statistics. But I don't read Gareth Southgate going, see Bellingham, you lot better step up and contribute, because we know Harry Kane's going to step in and score goals.
Do you look upon the qualifying, the group games, if you like, Gabby, the same way as Simon does? Just win them and progress, and then think about the knockout stages.
Do you know what? What I look at is when you're not making the subs at the right time. I was at the game, 55 minutes. Come on, Foden should come off for Gordon. Yes, you bring Trent off, but will he make them slow substitutions when it matters in the knockout stages? If we get a Germany, a Portugal, France, Spain, and he still doesn't make the subs at the right time. If he's not doing it in the group games, will he just then go and do it in the knockout stages? That's the worry for me and most fans and pundits, is look at the game against Italy in the final. We're crying out for the right subs. We were sat back. In the second half against Serbia. So it's just the same mistakes, like Simon says, you don't want to happen again in this tournament. It's not like we've got some mediocre bench that some nations might have. We've got Palmer, who's been outstanding. Foden, not performing. You've got Palmer as an option. Gordon, Eze have been outstanding this season. Ivan Toney and Watkins have been outstanding. Bowen come on for Saka because Saka was tiring. Right substitutions. But I want other players to get a chance if they're not performing or they're looking tired.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. I think England have got to start well here and just take the initiative. Jim, we're talking earlier, it looks like England are going to be unchanged again. Where does all this come from? How do people know that Gareth is going to stick with the starting 11?
I don't know. I mean, you could speculate that it is players telling their agents that the team gets named quite early. That's certainly the case as far as England are concerned. And know that Gareth names his team early. I can't see what advantage it gives anybody in the fact that these teams continually leak. It's just, Gabby and I were talking about it off air hour, but it's got to give the Danes an advantage. Why are you playing into their hands by the team coming out, whoever is leaking the team?
It winds me up because the first game, the whole of the Serbian squad analysis would have known Trent starting. Yeah. Reports Trent's going to start. They shouldn't know. That should be a surprise when the team's named an hour before kickoff. Oh, they've got Trent in midfield. They're not starting Gallagher or Bellingham in the centre of midfield. Now we're hearing same team. Southgate, maybe go through 2 or 3 different teams when you're doing your shape. Tell the players 2 hours before games these leaks can't come out. That keeps happening. Find out who's giving out the leaks, because could this affect us later in the tournament if we're playing Portugal, Germany? They're like, oh, we know the team now. We can prepare for that. I don't hear other teams, other countries' teams getting leaked.
No, not to the same extent.
The manager. Don't care what you say, mate. I do not care what you say. Jay, we are at our worst when we're in front because we've got a manager who's so defensive-minded and so happy to sit off.
Let me ask you this.
The mentality of the players changes when we go in front.
Right. Up until the goal, that wasn't what we saw.
No.
So, but don't tell me he tells the players when we go 1-0 up, we sit deep.
No,
I don't believe that
no,
either.
but it's
got to take some responsibility.
No, but it's an old English way, mate.
No, Jay,
it's the old English way, and that's what Gareth Southgate is. It's the old English way of playing.
If it's the old English way.
Well, we go 1-0 up, all of a sudden we sit off. Right, you see it Sunday League, Jay.
It's not Southgate's problem that it's the old English way.
Yeah, but it is, because he's the England manager. Right, okay, so he's got to change that mentality and say, it's still 0-0, lads. We still go after the ball, like Pep would, like Klopp would. Jay, go after the ball, we dominate possession. When we give it away, we go and win it back.
Those players out there...
We give the ball away, we just let them have it.
Those players out there, I'm sorry, have got to take a bit of responsibility.
Rubbish.
You're right, but they've got to take a bit of responsibility. Yes, point the finger at Southgate, right? But let me tell you now, all this garbage you're talking about, and we're talking watching now, this has been going on since I was a kid.
But then, change it then. Get a manager in who goes after it. Or tell the manager. Someone tell him at half-time. Steve Holland, have some balls and say something. Say someone in the dressing room. Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham just won the Champions League.
Right.
Go and get the ball. Go and win the ball back.
That's the point.
It's not good enough.
That's the point I'm making. Take some responsibility on the field yourself.
You'll have a shot from 30 yards out.
We're holding hands to the back line. That's if you're a centre half, you're a centre midfield. Surely you're saying we can't keep dropping any deeper, mate. They'll be in the back of the net.
No, but how hard is it when as soon as the ball goes backwards, as soon as Denmark make one pass that goes sideways or backwards, you're out. You push up 10 yards. You nick 5 yards as a team. Everyone, push, press, go, sprint. We just let them have it. And before you know it, Harry Kane's on the 18-yard box defending. Because we allow it to happen, because there's no leaders in the team, or there's not a manager on the sideline saying, go after the ball. Why are you sitting off? Go and nick it. Do you think we've been a bit harsh? Do you think we've been harsh on Southgate?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I don't understand why people want him out. I mean, if people want him out, who's best placed to take over?
But right now, even if you think Roy... Right now is not the decision. You can't make that call now. Right? Now is not the right time to make that. The decision is made. He's leading us into battle, whether you like it or not. Now the conversation piece about what his chances are, what the best selections are, sorting out that left-hand side, sorting out the position next to Rice. That is a key area. It's been a key area. You and I have been speaking about this for months, Jay. That position next to Rice, that is key. Get that right. You got a long way to sorting out other things. The left-hand side, what you do with Foden. How do you play Foden? I was listening to Stan Collymore earlier, and Stan was of the opinion that he thinks England play 4-1-4-1, right? So he thinks that Rice is good enough to sit in there, and you almost play with 2 number 10s.
But it ain't going to happen.
That's exactly my point. I love the idea of it, but Roy is... I keep saying Roy. Sorry, I got Roy in front of me here. There is no way Southgate is going to do that. There's no way he's going to do that.
What my problem is, and I said this pre-tournament, and I still feel it now. The two things that I feel about Southgate is he's not brave enough. He doesn't know how to turn a game unexpectedly. He didn't know when to throw last night. When it wasn't going right, the changes weren't good. He didn't make changes. We're so unbalanced. And he doesn't know how to pick the best team out of the players that he's got. He's frightened of picking the wrong player for the wrong position.
Yeah,
like
not brave.
Do you know what he's not brave. And what you should have done is, if it's not working, make a change that's going to... He should have maybe took Saka off and put Eze on, or switch Foden to the other side, taken Saka off and switch Foden to the other side, playing in front of Walker, who he says he plays well in front of. Our left side looks so lopsided. And my main concern about Southgate is he can't pick the best players from
but here's my thing with that, Rich. Here's my issue with that is that historically there's definitely something in that, and that's been the big criticism. But let's see what he does on Thursday night. Let's see what he does, because one thing you can't deny is that he's made, whether you like him or not, he's made some massive calls by leaving Rashford out the squad and leaving Grealish at home. Right? He's made big calls. That left-hand side, they are two answers to an issue that he knows is a problem. So you've got to trust him to come up with a plan. You've got to trust him now.
I do. My problem will be, and always will be until he proves me different, we lose games or don't get past games. We should have beat Croatia in the World Cup. We certainly should have beaten Italy in the final. And he made the wrong decisions.
I think the criticism on Southgate's still a bit harsh, because I think, I saw the stat, I didn't even realise this. Southgate's the only manager that's won the first game of the Euros, in the Euros tournament for England. Did it last time, did it this time. And I think
he's won every game. He's won four.
Results are what matter.
Four out of four he's won.
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with that, but I think if me and Cundy took over this team, we'd get out the group. Do you know what I mean? We'd get out the group, wouldn't we? But seriously though, look at the team. Of course you're going to get out the group. You're England, for crying out loud. You've got three of the best players in the world. It's easy to say, oh yeah, but Southgate gets us out the group. All right, well, so would Cundy and his dog.
The formation you're talking about for the 4-1-4-1 today, Romania played something like that today. And I've got to tell you, the way they set up, they were sensational. They got everything right. It was a spirit about that team. And I'm not suggesting that's where we go for the next game, but I kind of think what Stan and what Jay's just said, there's a variation of that. Players can move. There's no fixed formation. Players move all over the pitch.
Out of possession is when you need to be organised.
There's so many different variations, but to get the best out of England, is there going to be that decision? Do you drop Foden, or do you say we play two number 10s?
Now, Graham, you're looking away in dismay, I think, to a degree when you hear that.
Experiment. You're now in a tournament. No, it's not the time to experiment, Jim. For me, and I've said it consistently. I said it when I was working on Sky Sports when he'd push in there playing for Liverpool. It is a different game altogether. You have to have a very different radar. The easiest place to play on a football pitch is in the fullback area. But one of the qualities he doesn't have is being able to play in midfield, where at times it's not about making cute and clever passes, it's about making life difficult for the opposition. I don't think he has that equipment.
What do you think of that, Simon? So it's a totally different role. It's a totally different position. And as Gareth used the word himself, we're experimenting a bit. But Graham's saying you can't experiment. This is the finals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Graham will speak to it more eloquently about what the role encapsulates.
He didn't do it on purpose. He hung Trent Alexander-Arnold out to dry and basically said, he's not as good as Calvin Phillips, and neither is any of the midfielders that I've got in the squad. I can't believe the insanity of that comment about Phillips.
Yeah, Scott, sorry to say, it's a good point, John. Scott, I think that was a misstep, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If that was trying to deflect from his team and put the pressure on himself, I think that showed him up in the wrong light.
Yeah, look, because Calvin Phillips was very good. In fact, I think he was England's Player of the Year 3 or 4 years ago, but that was then, this is now, and he hasn't really done it for club for a couple of seasons. So, go on, John.
Calvin Phillips, sorry guys, in regards to Calvin Phillips thing, I think I'm right. He was in the previous tournament squad and didn't play a single minute.
Yeah, but he was. I think he was voted England's best player in the Euros. I think. But absolutely, if you're talking about Calvin Phillips, I mean, if Harry Kane's been injured or Foden's been injured or Bellingham's not, you can get it, but you don't come out and say, with respect to him, Calvin Phillips. And if I'm
Calvin Phillips is fit, by the way. He is fit. He could have taken him, but he just turned up at West Ham and stunk the place out.
He's not the player. But if I'm Adam Wharton or Kobbie Mainoo or Conor Gallagher, I'm sort of thinking you're talking about someone who
back your players.
You shouldn't be mentioning, because that's my position. Yeah. I do think he made a mistake there, but look, I mean, he's under pressure 100% of the time here.
Can I just say one other
very quick point, John, or I'll fade you out.
Okay, so I have spoken to people who've worked with footballers at a top level. I mean, coaching, etc., etc. I asked their opinion. I won't say who it was, but they seem to think there's a lot of players look as though they no longer believe in what they're being told, and this is what I've said. And one of your guys mentioned it earlier about Roberto Martinez. I think we're in a similar scenario. Martinez had one of the greatest squads for the recent years in Belgium, did nothing. I don't think he'll do anything in Portugal. I think Gareth Southgate is probably the wrong coach within such an amazing squad of players at the moment.
Okay, thanks very much, John. Thank you very much for calling in. John wasn't a big baby. He made some very good salient points.
He did. Look, I mean, I think this is Gareth Southgate. Unless he wins it, it's his last tournament. So I think now he might as well just go for it. Yeah. I don't believe that he's lost faith in the players, or the players don't believe in him. It doesn't happen like that. But he needs to find a way to get the best out.
He needs to be
We just talked about Ralf Rangnick and Austria, and it's not an easy thing to do. But he needs to square pegs, square holes, get people playing in the positions that he used to.
Well, I ain't got an own goal for you because I used to try and block those out of my brains. However, England, I'm absolutely livid with Gareth Southgate. I mean, to me, I know Jermaine's already said it. Play Bellingham at 8 because he used to carry the ball forward. If you remember, the centre halves used to carry the ball forward into the midfield, and they used to make an extra midfield player. We don't do that because we're too rigid. So play Bellingham at 8 and put Foden at 10. It's not rocket science. He's a better player in the middle. He's proved it. He's a Premier League player of the year. Bellingham can carry the ball forward. He's a good player. Put Gordon on the left because he can play on the left. That's where he plays for his country. What is he going at? And I can tell you now, if he picks the same team for the third team on the trot, I am not watching it, and I am an absolutely mad England fan. Watched England since 1966 because I'm not old, I'm ancient, and I just can't believe that he is so rigid about it, but he's stubborn, and that's a problem.
Well, I think given what we heard in his post-match interview, I think he will. He's at least making one change, and that change will be in that midfield. And I think it'll be Trent Alexander-Arnold coming out. The big question is exactly what you've just said there, Colin, right? Is he going to bring Foden inside, and is he going to put somebody else on that left-hand side? Is Foden going to be the answer to come centrally, or is he going to bring in Adam Wharton, or is he going to bring in Kobe Mainoo? And then, is Foden either going to stay left, or is he going to drop him?
Well, he can't play on the left. He proved that not only in the Cup final, but he's proved that in 2 games for England. To be honest, Foden has not played well for England because we've played him out of position all the time.
Agree. And that's it. The lads that are getting the stick, Foden, Trent. Listen, Kane's playing the wrong game, and he needs to be told to play the better the game for this particular side. But Foden and Trent are getting a load of stick, right? But both lads are playing out of position.
Yeah, I know. And
the side is not set up for the way that they have excelled this season.
Okay, so he takes out Trent. And just for argument's sake, he puts in Kobe Mainoo.
Right.
Would you say Kobe Mainoo is more attacking-minded than Trent?
Attacking-minded?
Yeah.
No.
So then we're going to go even more further defensive.